Father of a 14-year-old girl who weighed just 35 pounds when paramedics rushed her from a Town of Oneida home disagrees with the finding that he is competent to stand trial. 48-year-old Walter Goodman of Appleton called 911 in August of 2025 in what Outagamie County officials call one of the worst child abuse cases they've ever seen. Investigators say the teen was so small, first responders thought she was half her age. Doctors reported severe malnutrition and multi-organ failure, saying she was very close to death. Goodman faces 5 felony counts of chronic child neglect. 3 other adults are also charged, including his wife Melissa, already sentenced to 15 years in prison. Savannah Lefevre and Kayla Stemler both have court dates later this month. Goodman remains in custody and now has a contested competency hearing scheduled.